let's talk about interviews. So, this is what we're going to have to do for essay two. And I wanted to start by giving a big shout out to Ben McNair. He's my partner in crime from undergrad, but now he's like a big man on the State Farm campus. He's an anthropologist who now works doing research for State Farm in Atlanta. So, hey, Ben McNair, he made this for me for my class. So you might be saying, why in the world are we doing interviews in composition? Like, what is happening? Well, I want to say that it's first off a really good way to start learning about your audience. So we talked a lot about the rhetorical situation and how we need to know the most we can about our audience. So you can start learning a little bit more about what your audience wants by interviewing people who are in your audience. So for essay three, that's going to be GSU students. So you're going to start learning about them. Also, when you're writing, it's sometimes hard to come up with interesting reasons off the top of your head. Go out and find some really unique and compelling evidence, and that can help you in your compositions. So, learning to interview gives you another way of finding good evidence. And then, lastly, this is something that actually Ben talked about. He's a really shy person, someone who's super introverted. He is an interviewer by his trade, like that's his job, and he says it actually helps him, and it has helped him get better at like just being a person in the world, having social interactions. Like the more you practice structured opportunities to talk to people, the better you get at it, and that's really important as you move forward, not just like to get a job, but also like to be a good person. So, there are many ways you could do interviews. For research interviews, you might have one that's highly structured. So, that's like a census. Say somebody came to your house and needed to do a census interview. They have a specific set of questions that they have to follow and they have to ask in order and with the right kinds of words. You can also have one where it's more just like a conversation. Have you ever sat down and talked to like your grandmother or some relative and had an interview with them about some part of their history? That's like more like little or no structure. What we're shooting for is somewhere in the middle, and it's where you're going to have a set of questions that you're working off of, but you allow yourself to take detours whenever stuff gets interesting. So, um, uh, Ben uses the metaphor of the highway road trip. So the set of questions that you create are like the map of the highway. You stay on it. It's taking you from one place to another place. However, when you're interviewing someone, if they start talking about something interesting, you can take a little detour and ask unexpected questions and have them answer unexpected questions that come up, but then get back on your highway and get to your final destination. So the way you do this, and this is absolutely mirroring the three steps of essay two, is first you're going to design your interview, then you're going to conduct the interview, then you're going to analyze it and find the main themes and write about it. So how do we design a decent interview? Honestly, we want to make sure that the questions are open ended. So you don't want to say, did you like it? Yes. Did you like the characters? No. You want to phrase it with those who, what, where, why, when, how words so that the interviewee has to talk a lot and give you lots of answers. You want as much information as you can to work from. You also want to make sure that your questions are not confusing. So when you write them down the first time, maybe you're going to need to look over them and make sure that they're not really confusing so that you can get the best responses possible. You also don't want to, you want to start with some general questions like, how did you feel about this media as a whole? But then you want to make sure that your questions get a little bit specific. Ask them about a specific part of the media. Ask them about characters. Ask them about gameplay. Ask them about lots of different things to get more specific answers. So you want to get as much information as possible. This means if you're thinking about the characters, you might ask, who are your least favorite characters? Who are your favorite characters? What did you think about blank character? What did blank character represent to you? So you see how I don't just say, how do you feel about the characters? You're getting really specific and asking specific questions. Maybe you want to ask about the plot. Same thing, get super specific. What was the favorite thing that happened, least favorite thing? How did this make you feel? Perhaps you're talking about a video game. Maybe you ask about usability. Maybe you ask about specific parts, like what part of the game was most difficult, what part was more enjoyable than another. Also, think about their emotions. Ask what parts really grabbed them, and then whenever they say that, ask them why. Ask them if one part in particular, say, was more effective or less effective. Ask them about the way the thing looked. So if you're talking about a music video, ask them about specific costumes or outfits. Ask them about the graphics. You can even ask about sound. And you can ask about their level of interest in it, but also you can ask about what did this bring up for you? So what did it make you think about that's outside of the media? So these are all the different things you might ask about in your own interview. So here's how you design it. In the next video, we'll talk about how to conduct it. But for now, design your interview.